Well, yeah, welcome to this edition of the Overstating the Obvious with Mike and Sam. We've got Jace in here, good friend over the years. So
I think this is there's a pretty good little balance of kind of feels and experiences, from the backgrounds we've got going on here.
Yeah, I think so.
Running the gamut from, upscale dog teepees to kidnapped hostages. And then we've got kind of Jace kind of sitting there right in between.
What kidnapped hostages?
I mean, that's a continuum, isn't it? That feels like dog TP and me. I mean, you see I'm obviously in a some sort of hold up in.
Yeah, yours is like a terrorist video.
It's gonna fall down in a minute. There's gonna be guys back there with masks that fell down off their face.
Here, I'll do this with my napkin. You guys can write a message on here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Not a minute has passed, boys.
Yeah. So, Jace, how was church?
It was fantastic. Yeah, had a great time. I'm on a rotation of, once every 3 or 4 weeks I actually play in the band, and so that was this week. So as you were sending me those messages, of course. I mean,
so we're sending you messages, and you're in church.
That's right. And I was checking them, of course.
Was Jesus angry with us today?
Not that I could tell.
Okay.
But I was also pretty distracted by you, so.
Yeah. Well, we were an hour off. We're representing 3 different time zones here.
Man. It's rough.
Spanning the globe, basically. That's what we're doing right now.
How would you have known Jesus was mad, Jace? Like, were you looking for lightning bolts? Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, usually I say it's, how well I play.
Flooding.
If he's pissed at me, like all of a sudden, I'll be in the wrong key. I'll play a C sharp, like you mentioned, Sam, and we'll be in C G or something.
That's a good discussion. How do you know God's mad at you? Right?
I mean,
how do you know?
If I relate, like I sometimes relate, my relationship to God, like my kid's relationship to me, and I like to think that it's a no doubter. My kids know when I'm mad at them, I would like to think.
Right. But how do you know if God's mad at you? That's the real question, right? So Jace, your take is if God's mad at me, I'm screwing up. I can't play my guitar right. I'm playing the wrong chords.
I mean, I know that's not true, but
that's like your gut level, like down deep,
Yeah.
Things aren't going right, so God must be mad at me.
That's right. I'm not feeling the love.
Gotcha. Sam, what about you? What's your take on that? How do you know God's mad?
I'm pretty sure he's always mad at me, just kind of taking a look at my life. I just kind of feel like I know. Like Jason said, it's you just know.
Yeah. If he's happy with you, everything's, the sun's out. If he's mad at you, see, like with me right now, there's clouds outside. 4,000 years ago, this would have been a sign that, God's angry. The clouds are rolling in. Thunder, lightning, right?
Something like that.
What are you guys having for lunch?
That's what I was going to ask you, Jace.
The most blessed food of Arby's.
Ooh.
That's like the Sunday food, isn't it?
We have the meats.
That's right. We got our chicken and our vegetable of curly fries.
Yeah. See, that's an Oklahoma thing right there. Vegetables or fries.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We do they have the sliders down there? I went to Arby's the other day and they had the these little 3 different sliders.
No.
Oh man, very good.
Must be testing it out in the Northeast.
Something like that.
So, Jace, what's your time constraints here today?
I'm pretty open. I'm good to go. I cleared out
4-hour episode.
Yeah. So for some reason I had not, maybe I was embarrassed by this, but or by you guys, but I had not told my wife at all about
What does she think you're doing?
About you guys until like last night. I said, hey, we're not doing anything tomorrow afternoon, after church, right? She said, well, wife's going. I got a call is what I said at first.
A conference call.
She said a call. She immediately called my BS on that. I mean, she knew
Oh,
that
gosh.
wasn't right.
That's awesome.
I said, okay, well, I'll explain later. And we got home, and I went into the whole spiel. I had to, go through who in the world Mike is.
Hey, so why don't you? I have that on my list. Let's do an intro of how we all know each other. Just go with that. How'd you? What'd you explain to your wife?
So I said, so Mike was this guy that, I became friends with in, I think, middle school, right? I think you are one of our middle school teachers.
Yeah, 7th or 8th grade basketball. I think it was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
Maybe 6th grade. No, 7th grade. 7th grade.
Yeah. All I know is that you were my last basketball coach.
Learned everything you needed to. Doesn't get any better from here. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, so whatever year that was. I bowed out after basketball. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was maybe 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's how I got introduced to you, and then we had Bible class with you, and just always was really drawn to you. I think that's kind of one of your spiritual gifts or your talents is you're a very drawing in personality, a very sincere person and all that. And so I always felt like I connected really well with you. And then you started leading the praise and worship band. I don't know the timeline of all this. I may be totally butchering it, but
yeah.
So we got more connected in there because that's, I think you actually were already doing the band. I think I started playing guitar in 8th grade, and I think, or maybe even in the middle of 9th grade. But I remember you saying, "Hey, you play bass? We don't have a bass player. You're coming." It was like that kind of a thing,
Yeah, it sounds like me.
I got thrown into the fire. I mean, literally the consuming fire, if you will.
Right.
And which was looking back was awesome. I think in the short term of looking back at that what that means is that I got recorded in a very immature status of my bass playing.
Yeah.
As I was playing for you guys the other day, it's embarrassing to listen to, but I think it was good for my overall career. So then we got to be really good friends, and you started even playing guitar. I remember we would have some jam sessions where we would play the Midnight Special and junk like that. And then you invited me to come up to Sanctuary on Wednesday nights and play up there, and I had the pleasure of meeting Sam up there, who was the guitar player. And so we all three, yeah, exactly. I mean, I had the heart emoji eyes before heart emoji eyes existed. he drew me in. So kindred spirits, I think, if you will, especially maybe because the commonality of music and playing instruments and making music together. I think that's a very powerful thing. Powerful experience to go through with other men, or other people, is to create together. And we did that. And man, I think like you mentioned the other day, that was one of the most amazing times of my life if I think back to it. So I think that's just, it's been ingrained with me.
Yeah.
And, Sam and I were never, great friends. I think we maybe hung out one or two other times. I can't remember if you were a year or two older than me. I just know you're older than me, but still, kindred spirits. We became Facebook friends, so that means we're connected at the hip forever. So good luck getting away from me, Sam.
Yeah.
Stuck.
So I get to see, all your funny memes and and I was really excited when you guys started doing this podcast. It was just like a light clicked on for me and said, "Man, this is amazing," and I was immediately locked in.
Yeah. No, that was I think all three of us can say that was one of the highlights. If there are highlights in my life, that time frame of what you just described, Jace, is just one of the best. Every time I think about it, I just smile. Just such a good time of connecting with people and learning how to play music together. And there's something spiritual that happens when you play music together with people.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Jace, it's been so great to get reconnected with you and really have you help us to kind of think through what we're trying to do here. And that's kind of why I think we've got you on deck today as guest number one to what we're doing here,
Right.
And so I think everything we do from here, you've got some sort of a royalty, claim to. So
I'm in on the ground floor.
I say that without a whole lot of concern that we're going to have to negotiate.
There'll be plenty to go around.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
That's obviously what I meant by that.
There's going to be plenty to go around. We're not going to have to worry about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so are we dividing that $1.40 by 3 now? Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
Hold on.
It's over $1.50. I know that.
Yeah, we are $1.57. So we're going to split that. We'll break that down by episodes.
We haven't been putting
that
sponsorships.
Specific episode, you'll get a third.
Exactly. Yeah, for this one today, I absolutely a third of everything.
Yeah, a third of whatever this particular podcast generates. So.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
one of the.
Whoa! Who's this? Another. I think you're unplugged.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
One of the best things I ever did as a dad was put a lock on my office door. But it doesn't work if you don't lock it.
Right. Who we got here?
This is Ryan. You want to say hi? Say hi.
Hello, Ryan.
He's got the food in his mouth, just like you were talking about. Yeah, he's drawing you in.
Yeah, he's drawing people in, just eating and talking.
All right, let's go finish eating.
You know, Jace, just this very week, we purchased a locked cabinet that is intended to. I don't even know if he's listening.
I am listening. I'm here.
That's intended to be used, like in a garage, but we put it in our kitchen, and that's where we put the snack food, cereal. So that has been my most recent and most, important parenting win that I've had.
Yes.
And so we've got some churros cereal in there. We've got some, Frosted Flakes, some tortilla chips, and all that sort of stuff that gets locked up. In fact, I think just to prove it.
Oh boy.
Smart move. We're doing our podcast here. The reason why we're doing this is because we want to, obviously want to let people get in, kind of see our lives, but at the same time, there's a lot of, especially this episode, we want to kind of talk about, the different definitions of success. There's lots of definitions of success out there, and a lot of pictures of success out there. We kind of talked about this yesterday, but and Sam and I touched on this the other day, just the difference between and the commonalities between success and significance and those things. And it's easy, we had a whole celebrity list we could have brought on today, to give you different pictures of success. Sam, why don't you share the different people that we were thinking about bringing on today?
Well, we had, remember that one from that new movie? Who's that one? That one actress.
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that one. And then her male lead, the other one.
The shooter.
Exactly, him. So
Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
Bradley Cooper.
They were both going to come on. We're thinking about Mike Tyson.
Yep. That one famous artist, the musical artist.
Lady Gaga.
How long do we take a fake list of guests down into this?
But anyway, we chose Jace because we want to show some folks that success is not always this post-worthy photo of someone sitting on their yacht. It's a guy with his son on his lap eating Arby's. I mean, any of us are going to look at celebrity and think, man, that's what success really looks like. And too bad I'm never going to be able to get it. But one of the things that we really want to try to share in these podcasts are just that, we want to show that real life can be a life that's led successfully and with a whole lot of significance, right?
Yeah, and Mike, we've been talking a lot about how this really has grown out of what we've developed in terms of authenticity in friendship, and that we'd like to bring some of that to others in some way. right? And right now, just kind of on Facebook through conversations we're having that people may or may not listen to. But I think, we just get a little sliver of everybody else's life, Jace, as you even said, on Facebook. You see the funny things I share. You see the big moments that I share. You see, the trips I take and where I go, some of that sort of stuff. And I've started to be much more selective about what I share, just kind of knowing that there's a lot of very enviable things that exist in my life. But, behind that is a lot of crap, a lot of struggle, a lot of hard work. And I think, there's a whole picture of people that I think Mike and I are really just passionate about wanting to, to bring that, there's a lot to us. There's a lot to you. All the people that you see out on Instagram that are,
My dogs and Mary are back from running errands.
Uh-oh, there she is.
Time out.
So I think the idea here, Jace, that you even kind of you just really helped us to bring out is, why is it that we start with this definition? It's in the bottom left hand of your screen, Mike. Yeah. The definition of success that we there's even these podcasts that go, hey, you're a successful person. Let's kind of get to know you as a person. And I think it always starts with this definition of success, about what that is, and let's get to know you, the human side. And I think we want to kind of skip that and say, what makes you more successful than me, and let's kind of redefine how we think about what that is and who we should be asking to get to know. And so that's, I kind of think, how we arrived here today.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Jace?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is, a very powerful topic and a powerful message for, a lot of people, maybe particularly the younger generations, but I think even people our age still really struggle with this. And, I would like to think that it's something that I haven't struggled with that much. And maybe it's because of my personality. I'm a very laid back, but realistic, personality. So I think I've always had pretty realistic expectations of my life and my desires and achievement of those. And I think I've been able to, reach that and then succeed it. So I think that also is kind of coupled with contentment in my life. I'm a very content person and very grateful for everything that I have and everything I've gotten. But I don't let that contentment turn into settling or settlement. I appreciate everything I've gotten along the way, and I'm going to push for more. And that's, something that I really kind of try to model my life around. And, the picture of success for me was laid out by some great people that I was able to kind of, see how they live their lives. My parents and some of my parents' friends, even Mike and Mary, just all the people that were in my life, I was able to kind of pick and choose from their lives of what I thought an expectation was for me and what I could achieve. I think there's a lot of people that have a problem with, like you were saying, Sam, about Facebook of, seeing only the highlights and thinking that that's a reality and then making that their expectation. Or they'll see, only the superstars, the movie stars, and then, thinking that is a reality. I think one of the great things, if I was a movie star and coming on here, I would have laid out this amazing, story about how I got there, how I got to be so famous. And I would try to make that as relatable as possible so that, the everyday person would like me and understand what I'm saying. But I think the everyday person might also fall into the trap of, hey, I can do that. I can achieve that. That is me now. That's something I can do. Anything less than that is a failure, and I'm a failure in life. And that's, once you go down that road, there's no turning back, or it's very hard to turn back.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the road we want to steer people away from is say, what is it, Jace, that makes you feel successful? What is it that you think kept you from going down that road? You mentioned your parents and other examples of that, but why is it that you, how do you define success, I guess, is a place to start. And then why do you think that you defined it that way instead of the way that I think is so pervasive and the thing we're trying to address?
It may make me a very boring person, but I think, security is a pretty big thing for me. I like being secure in my position. I was thinking about this last night randomly, that, to me, life is one big sort of, board game or game. And I want to position myself such that I'm winning. I'm a very competitive person. That's, again, going back to that contentment, settling. I do not settle when it comes to something that I think I can achieve. So success to me is what I've set up in that board game, was to make sure that I am, in my mind, winning. And, going back to the security, I want to make sure that I am taking care of my wife, taking care of my kids, taking care of myself, financially, healthy, living, spiritually, all of those things. And so far, I think we've done a great job at that. And it's definitely not just me. I mean, I'm surrounded by a great family and a great wife who's on the same team. I mean, it's really easy to even a few years into marriage kind of go separate ways, but we've been able to kind of be on the same team, and it's really been very fortunate for me. I'm very blessed, by that.
Yeah, I think I'm just sitting here looking at the three of us. We're East Coast, Midwest, and West Coast, and one of the traps of, especially living out here, I think one of the traps is when the people that you compare yourself with are all comparing themselves and chasing after a kind of life. Now, I won't say everybody, but it's easier to find more people who are chasing the kind of life that is more represented by status, more represented by net worth, that find their significance more in the things that they have and the things that they've accomplished. I remember, living in Oklahoma, and just like when you were talking, Jace, about your family, I used to, there are people that you look at as I was growing up and as I was even in my 20s and early 30s, people that I looked at that I consider successful, and I didn't even think about the things that they had. I mean, I grew up looking at Jeff and Nancy Brown as some of the most successful people I ever knew, because they had this incredible family and this incredible heritage, that spanned out to their brothers and sisters and to John and Marcia Brown, and these just generations of incredibly solid, decent people, and that was like the barometer. That was like the measuring stick, of what really was a successful life. And it's so, like I said, it's just so easy living out here for those things to get replaced by other things that just don't make any difference at all. They just don't have a bearing on your life. And it's interesting because your dad, Jace, was one of those guys too that I would always look at and go, man, Jace's parents are solid folks. And now I was jealous of your dad because he had a Harley, and that was one thing. But yeah, I definitely see what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a possession there.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think I said that I want to make sure doesn't come across the wrong way, the game that I mentioned is not a game that I'm playing against other people. I'm playing that against myself. For whatever reason, I don't know if it was the way I was raised or the personality type I am again or anything like that, but I don't have a big problem with comparison, against other people. And I think I'm very blessed to have that. I think there are a lot of people that fall into that trap. My wife and I talk about that all the time, why do we need this thing that we both think we want? Do we really need that for us or for our family, or are we doing that for somebody else, for some other reason? I think that's something that I'm very grateful to, that's been an easier distinction for me than I think it is for a lot of people.
Yeah. Right.
It's so funny.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, you know, it's funny how those influences can come in because, like, you know, recently we just kind of had an example of something where the Keeping Up with the Joneses that we were kind of caught up in, and how trivial those things can be. Even like in a washing machine, you know, we were going to buy a washing machine, and we're looking at, like, we've gone through two nicer washing machines recently, you know, the new digital type of things. And you know, we're sitting there going, forget this, right? Just give me a machine that washes clothes. I need it to do one thing. I don't need it to, you know, like fold them and, yeah, it texts me when they're done. Exactly. And, you know, but it's like, well, but, you know, this one's just like the cheapest one. There's something that just felt like, you know, I don't know. And I think, I wonder where that stuff comes from, you know, and how you get underneath just how subconscious at such an insignificant level that stuff permeates my life. I mean, I could reflect and go, you know, some of, like, Lynn and I both have parents that kind of came out of some, not poverty, but very, very poor upbringings. And so some of those things were signs of significance, right, or accomplishments in their life. And I think we saw them kind of building a life that, you know, they saw as something better than what they grew up having. And so I think we just kind of always felt like we're in a little bit of that cycle too. And I don't know if it's because we both had families that were loving and it wasn't materialistic, but it's just that thinking is just so ever present, so subtle. I think that's some of the things that just make it so hard to get at.
Yeah, I think it's hard too when growing up without convenient things, you know. Mm-hmm. And once you're able to have those convenient things, it's like there's a part of you, and I could only imagine, not having children myself, but I could only imagine and watching guys like you that grew up and now have children, and I'm sure there's a part of your life where you're like, I didn't like how it felt to grow up the way that I did, and I would like to spare my children those same feelings that I felt. But in the sparing, it's like there's this robbing that happens as well. There's this loss of an opportunity for a certain type of character to be built, and I can imagine as a parent that being a pretty slippery slope.
Yeah, and I think, you know, none of us would point to things in our life that have made us who we are that didn't include some level of struggle, right? I don't think you can form character and, you know, and the foundation for happiness without it. Yeah. And yeah, I think we struggle, but we still struggle against that.
Yeah.
So why is that?
Yeah. Well, I know I don't want my dogs going through the things that I went through as a child. I try to really spare them any kind of discomfort. You know, I've got, you know, this here, dog teepee. It's where Rocco sleeps at night. We're watching TV. I've got blankets all over every sofa and every chair for the dogs. If the dogs want to lay there, I'll sit on the floor if I need to give the dog a spot. Not really that far, but I create a spot for them. So, I mean, I think I feel the same thing as you guys feel with your kids.
It's exactly the same thing. Yep.
Exactly the same thing. Right. So,
but I think, you know, happiness is a decision, you know, and I think that's something that I want to make sure that my kids understand. You know, they don't look, you know, into other things or other people, you know, for their happiness. You know, they know where that comes from or how it originates, and are able to, you know, flip that switch and be happy.
Yeah, right. I think it is too. I think, you know, and every other society outside of America gets that. You know, it's like you can watch people with far less than any of the three of us have, that have far more significant and happy lives than people that have the exact same things that we have. You know, so that's definitely the case. So if there's one takeaway, you guys, from this little time together, obviously we could do this all day long, but if there's one takeaway that you know, someone listening was listening to us here today, what would you say this is really all about? What are we really trying to say here?
Should I go first and be polite to our guest? Formulate that. If that's okay, Jace, I'd say, my washing machine, my silly washing machine example, I think think about what you want your life to look like. Think about what you want your life to be, the experience you want to have, and just consistently make decisions by asking that. Mike, you and I have been talking a lot about, like, what do you want? And sometimes that simple question, the courage is in asking and answering that and saying, I've lived my life with the expectation that it looked a certain way that in so many ways has been defined by other people. And, where I'm trying to take my life is, by asking, what is it that I want, and looking inside as a starting point. And I think, when I look at my life and the job I have and the struggles I have and, the obligations that I have, and I've always kind of made decisions that kind of got me a step further down the road I thought I wanted to go, never really asking what I wanted out of this and how it was going to serve me and those things that are important to me. And so why would I expect everything to work for me and to kind of, feel a certain way? And so I think starting, kind of with that inner, the thing that's kind of guiding your life and that's important to you, and making decisions that are driven by that and not by others. And it's tough to suss out where those influencers are coming from, what they are, but I think being courageous to ask the question is kind of what you've encouraged me to do, and that's where I'm at. Good,
that's great. Jace, what about you?
Yeah, ditto. No, I mean, just kind of, piggyback off of that, I love what you're saying about, having a vision, having a goal, striving for that, keep that in mind when you're making decisions. I guess I don't want this to come off as a hampering or hamstring type thing, but being realistic about that. And keeping your expectations in check, and that's something that I've always been a big proponent of, and had been working through, and luckily it's worked out really well. But always striving for more, always pushing the envelope, always working hard. I mean, there's behind it, each of these three successful guys, by our own definition, there's a ton of hard work and blood, sweat, tears, a broken road, and if we look back in the back, but it's all along the way, being gracious, knowing that we're blessed, knowing that even if we haven't reached the pinnacle of whatever vision we have for ourselves, we already know we're successful because we're on our way there, we're working towards it, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, and I just to go along the same things, I started asking myself that question, Sam, a couple of years ago, but really specifically a couple of months ago. What is it that I want? And even more specifically, what is it that I don't want? And are there things in my life right now that I don't want, that I'm tolerating because I feel like other people want them for me, or other people have determined that these things are important, therefore I should have them in my life. And I think just understanding, setting kind of charting the course for your life, what is it that you want, and then building your life and building the people into your life that allow you to have that. And I think the takeaway that I would want folks to walk away today with after listening to us talk is, define success by the things that last. I tell people all the time, never lose sleep over people that don't lose sleep over you, and look around your life and who are those people in your life that when you're going through something, they're going through it with you, when you're feeling something, they're feeling it with you. And when you're succeeding and when you're accomplishing, that they're your cheerleader. They're not the one that's trying to chop your legs out from under you, or wishing evil upon you. I think if you can really kind of pinpoint those people in your life and build your life to include those people and what they think, I think you'll find that the end result of your life is probably something that ends up being a really significant thing, So just my thought on that. But Dude, great to have this little chat with you for sure. You were going to say something, Sam?
Yeah. Jace, I think I wanted to just say something about your comments about realistic expectations. And I think, what I'm pushing for in my life is getting beyond realistic expectations. And this isn't going to sound like I'm arguing with you. I'm not. I'm totally agreeing with you. But, I think what we can't do is have expectations that don't align with, what we can accomplish, right? So keep what can be done. And I think part of that is, in how many areas of your life can you have the kind of success that you want to have? And I think at some point we have to prioritize and say, what is it? Then that's that centering. And that's where I think I find that common ground with what you're saying is, it's with what is going to make me happy. And I think when you look at the lives of, people who are super financially successful or super famous and have, and then we talk about these people that we had as examples growing up with these really, character-based, strong families and legacies. How can you have that level of success in every area of your life? Where is the trade-off? And I believe in a life of abundance. So I'm not saying, that there is a true trade-offs everywhere with everything in life, but I think at some point you have to say, what can I do? And in how many different places can I do it? And I think that's the point where you get to exhaustion and lack of sustainability and just saying, what is it that's going to make me happy? And in what area do I really need to make improvement? And, it's what's going to get me to that next place, today, what's going to bring me more happiness today, and what area do I need to focus on today?
Yeah. And I think having the courage to define realism within yourself and to not let other people define that for you. I think that's probably one of the things. I think it's easy to let other people look at your life and say, well, it's not realistic for you to do this, or it's not realistic for you to do that. But you really having the courage to ask yourself what it is that you want, and then letting that be the definition of realism, and not someone putting a cap on your life saying you're never going to do that, and the reason why they're saying you're never going to do that is because they never had the courage to try to do it on their own, in their own life. So
yeah.
And I think that's I think we're all speaking the same language there for sure.
Yep.
And even if Sam and I totally disagreed on this, it's all about how you define your own, success and your own significance.
Owning your life.
That's right.
Your life. At the end of it, when it's all said and done, there's no room for finger pointing at the end of when it's all over with, saying, well, he did this or she did that, or I did this because they said this. You got to own it, man. And I think that makes it even more sweet, right? When you take full ownership of your own life and your own decisions. So I think that's the definition of an adult, right?
No joke.
Part of it.
Okay, well, Jace, my friend, that is, I love seeing your face on the screen here. Just so cool. I mean, 2 weeks ago, the three of us weren't even. I mean, it'd been over 10 years, but since we'd even said hi to each other. So
I was looking for you in the obits, man.
Yeah, right. So awesome to hang out with you. And thanks for hanging out today. And our goal is to have more and more folks on here, more and more guys and girls on here just like this, where we can kind of talk about stuff and bounce stuff off of each other and hopefully figure life out a little bit better between 3 or 4 of us, right?
Well, yes. And thank you so much for having me on. I am very confident in that I did not set the bar too high. So any future guests will have something they can easily exceed. So
absolutely.
But I love what you guys are doing. I'm all in. So I'll read anything you guys put out or listen to anything you put out. So